Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Celebrity Creator Show. Brian, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing terrific. Can't wait to get our guest on and rock this show.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun. But before we get started, I'd like to tell everybody a little bit about you. Brian has over 24 years of engineering software experience. I want to make sure I get that in because that's really an important position. And to have that kind of knowledge in that business for that many years and stay on top of what he does is absolutely phenomenal. Part of that experience that he has, he contributes, as you can see, all of the great things around us. You know, he's been trying to teach me some of this stuff from a technical verbiage point of view, but not doing it. And I think he bears with me in some of that. But all of the great things that you see are because of his expertise and the time that he puts in for us. In addition to that, Brian is absolutely a social media fanatic. He's adept at Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and we've utilized many of those channels in some of the things that we do. Also an affiliate marketer and has been extremely successful. As a matter of fact, he's putting together some affiliate programs for the Celebrity Creator Show, so we're excited about some stuff that's coming down the pike with that. Brian is also a speaker, co-authoring a book, and doing many, many other things. So please be sure that you come back over the next few weeks, in the next 30 to 60 days, actually. Keep watching our site because we've got some exciting, cool things that are going to be changing and some additions that Brian is doing for us. So without further ado, I just want to turn it back over to my dear friend, my business partner, Brian Kelly.
Oh, please stop.
You're funny.
Wow. Thank you so much, Kathy. Over the top yet again. This is kind of fun. We keep going back and forth with these intros, trying to outdo each other. But you know what? In all honesty, we know each other very well. And we're being very, very honest when we say these things about each other. At least I am when I say things about Kathy. I don't know about her. You know, she stretches it a little bit here and there, but
I don't either.
But allow me, please, if you will, to introduce this wonderful woman to my left, Kathy Stover. She has a wealth of experience in the world of business and marketing, and I mean wealth. She has over 25 years experience as an operations manager and sales manager, and that's at a Fortune 500 company. She's been extremely successful as well in affiliate marketing, more so than me by far, with experience dating back to the early 90s. That's why she's known as the affiliate marketing queen. Look it up. You won't find it, but that's what we call her. And on top of that, she has also excelled in network marketing. That's a very difficult field for many. It's very, very, I'll just say difficult, leave it at that. But it's also known as MLM or multi-level marketing. She's very successful in that area. And she's got experience dating back to the 80s in network marketing. And that's how we met. Different story for a different day, but
We did, yeah.
It was a day that will live in infamy. She talked about me being a social media fanatic. Come on, please. I don't hold a candle. She is a highly successful social media coach. See, she coaches, I dabble, she coaches. She teaches, I play. There's a big difference. She has experience as a professional speaker as well, and is, as she mentioned, currently in the process of co-authoring a book along with yours truly. She also holds designations as a power seller and a top-rated seller on eBay. You can see that she's got a lot of sales and marketing background, not just background, but success in that background. And one of the greatest things, most recently especially, she's becoming so unbelievably well-connected in entrepreneurial fields in business and marketing that the type of guests that we have on our show are mostly in part to her efforts. She is branching out and contacting the most unbelievable people that come onto our show each and every week. So thank you so much for all that effort, Kathy, and for connecting with these incredible individuals. The one coming up is no slouch himself. We're looking forward to that. But with that, I'd like to welcome my dear friend and co-creator of this very show, Kathy Stover.
And you too. You're killing me. You're killing me. Thank you so much. That's very heartfelt. I really appreciate that, Brian. But I got to tell you about our next guest. because I was kind of looking, and we have known this guy for close to 2 years. Can you believe that? He is absolutely phenomenal. Talk about well-connected and knowing his craft. Alan has 12 years of SEO and SEM and web development experience. He developed realestatecity.com, and that was a real estate network of 300 sites serving every major city in Canada and the U.S. These sites generated $200 million of real estate leads per day. That's insane. Currently, he is handling Bumblebee Tuna. We're familiar with that. Here in the States, he actually handles the other company, and I'll ask him to share the name because he is in Toronto, Canada. But also he's handling Intel and Microsoft with their web marketing. He's an accomplished writer, having published several well-known articles, blogs, newspapers, and magazines. And he, over the years, has helped over 800 clients achieve top rankings on all the major search engines. He's considered an online marketing guru, and just from that alone, you understand why that's the case. Well, I've got to tell you, tonight's show, and I kind of put a blurb out there before we started the show, the only thing that came to my mind with reputation management was when I was in high school. So when he was talking about reputation management being online, I was totally excited. So I don't want to go any further. I just want to introduce you to Brian and my dear friend, Alan Pollitt. Welcome to the show, Alan.
Well, thanks for having me again. This is it's always great to be on your show. And thanks for the introduction.
And coming all the way from Toronto, Canada, live, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Live. You're not this recorded being that, had questions lined up and you're just going to respond to them. You are a live guy right now from Canada. Kathy's from Northern California, and I'm from Southern California, so it's wonderful that you can join us from so far away. And we love this technology that enables us to connect with fantastic people like you from anywhere, literally in the world. We've had Australia, another individual from Canada, all over the place. It's wonderful. Well, let's
it's almost like old home week here with Alan this week.
Yeah.
Homecoming. There we go.
Yes.
So as you can see from the website, celebritycreators.com, if you're watching on that page right now, which if you're not, you should be, the title of our show is Managing Your Reputation Online. And this is very, very intriguing to both Kathy and I. There have been several people that we know personally that have had issues, let's say, with their reputation online. So this hit at a very good time, and we said, hey, Alan, why don't you come back on the show and tell us all about this, because this is a fantastic topic. And I do encourage you all to listen very closely and take notes as you go. And also, don't forget, we have a chat window right over here next to us. Log in. The instructions are provided there. So you can pose your questions during the show. Kathy will read them off, and you'll become a star. All right. Alan, what exactly is reputation management, and why is it so important?
Well, I define reputation management as 3 activities. You build your reputation, so you want people to know about you and to learn about you and to embrace you. And that's building your reputation. That's the first step in managing your reputation. The second step is monitoring your reputation. So you basically want to listen to the beat of the internet, and hopefully you'll hear positive things about yourself. And then that leads to the third point, which is defending your reputation. So sometimes when you're listening to that internet, it's not so positive. There's a lot of negative stuff that will appear. And if you don't monitor and defend your reputation, those things that might be just whispers at first will become a deafening voice that can destroy your business. So the defending thing is nipping things in the bud before they become an issue. And I've dealt with many clients that's been the issue. Just recently, there was a law firm that I was dealing with, and they pulled me in because there was this one article. I'll explain the story. It's kind of an embarrassing story, but I'll explain it. What happened was there was a party, and people drank too much,
Uh-oh.
And there was some young interns there, some young, good-looking interns there. And as I said, a few drinks too many. And what happened was the interns accused the boss, the head of the company, with stepping over the line. So this was a law firm. So the boss, being a lawyer, he did what every other lawyer does. He sued them. But that was the biggest mistake he ever made. Because what happened was that became a story. And it got put in every single newspaper right across North America. And so at first it was just a story, one-page article in a small, in a newspaper. But what happened was Google picked up that story a few months later, and all of a sudden, every time somebody searched for that company's name, that story came up. Even though, and it had a really bad headline, lawyers misbehaving. It was like really bad. Even though it was like the article was not biased against them, it was actually, talking about this lawsuit. It looked very bad on the reputation. And so now whenever they get new clients, every time the clients are like asking them about this party that happened a couple of years ago. So not a good situation. But that's really the essence of reputation management right there. That things that you might not see as being an issue can gradually build on the internet, and they don't die. So they just grow and grow and grow. And if you don't handle them right off the bat, they will get you. So,
something that I kind of wanted to interject here, Alan, and I'm going to guess this is going to be considered old school marketing, because people oftentimes would go into sites and set up like bogus websites and that kind of thing, and they would actually put themselves out there in a bad light just to create buzz so their name got out there.
Yeah.
So is that whole mantra changing now?
There was actually a very funny story about that. There was one guy who was taking advantage of Google Places. Google Places, one of the ranking factors in Google Places is how many reviews you get. The more reviews you get, the better you rank.
Right.
So what he was doing was he was basically swearing at all of his clients.
Oops.
He was telling them, he's telling them that he was threatening their lives. He was like telling them to go to many different places, and he was just saying really bad things to them. And what they would do is they would write negative reviews. And every time they wrote negative reviews, his ranking would go up. He would get more clients.
Yeah.
So he didn't care that he was losing clients. He just cared about the fact that his rankings were going up, and he was getting so many clients. The story became viral, and Google was like, oh, hey, maybe we're doing this wrong. And they actually had to change their ranking system so that negative reviews now don't benefit you. So that would be old school now. But that's only been in the last year that's actually changed. So it's one of those funny things where negative can be good if you, because it can make it viral. But you don't want it to be too negative because people will stop buying your product.
What was that old adage? It was something like bad publicity beats no publicity back in the old days. But now that things are online in the way you've described it, I think people should really take heed to this. Anyone thinking of taking that rock and roll band approach to getting the word out about, and it may still work for rock and roll bands. I don't know about that one, but we heard some good stories there with a friend of ours. But this is good advice. So folks, anybody planning on just getting your name out there to rise to the top of the Google rankings by putting out some negative vibes or news articles or anything like that, Alan would advise against that. Very good.
Very much so.
Well, since we're kind of talking on that line, and we don't want it to be negative to put us to the top, what is the best way to build our online reputation in a good way?
Nice.
Well, in my recent book, I sort of defined it in several ways. I defined it three methods, really. One is to use social sites like Twitter, Facebook, to really brand yourself and to create sort of a legion of fans to really promote your name and your business. Just before I met you guys, actually, I was just getting into Twitter, dabbling in Twitter. So that was like 2 years ago when I first really got into Twitter. And I was impressed by both of you having like 50,000 plus following. You know, but that was one of the things that I saw as a great tool to build a reputation. Twitter, having a following and having that big number right beside your name is something that it just speaks volumes. It makes it sound like you are the expert. Even if these people never listen to any words you say, you still sound like an expert because it's a big number and it's impressive. So that was, with social media, it's all about building that number and building a group of people that are listening to what you have to say. Then the next thing that I really saw as, and it's more traditional, is search engine marketing. Really, building up your brand of the website. What I always saw with the way I always did web marketing was I was just trying to get my name out there as many times as possible. And what I did was I would always target big keywords so that I could basically every time somebody typed in anything, especially with the real estate sites that you mentioned in my intro, if you typed in Toronto condos or California houses, I would always be at the top of the rankings. So after a while, my Real Estate City site got branded as being the real estate site. It's just like Amazon. Whenever you search for books or, books, basically you associate that with Amazon because every time you do the search, Amazon's at the top of the list. Well, that's what really branding is all about. You basically create an association between yourself by just always ranking well for it and whatever term it is that you're ranking for. So with my Real Estate City site, I was always at the top of the list. And it generated, as you were mentioning, $200 million worth of leads. It was just insane how much money it was generating.
That's impressive. But
yeah, my accountant didn't find it so impressive, but she was kind of freaking out. But it's all about creating a branding where you associate yourself to a keyword. So that's the search engine marketing form of branding, where you make your site a popular site. So I just find social media and now search engine marketing, but there's also using things just like this, which is webinars and blogs, where you're basically setting yourself as an educator. And I really have to hand it to you. You guys you're actually the masters of this, where you've created a really popular show that people come to and you're really educating people. And partly because of your influence, I started the same kind of thing myself. I started my own weekly radio show on Blog Talk Radio. And that's one of the things that... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. I use Blog Talk Radio, which is a really great avenue for a lot of people. I totally recommend it. It's free, and it's a really great way to, start the process of, building a brand where you can have a weekly show, or even if you want a daily show. I'm not that ambitious, but a weekly show is enough for me. But the last method with building a brand is really actually combining all of the above that I just described: the search engine marketing, the social media, the education, so that it all becomes one thing. So what I do is I actually, when I write my blog, I have it automatically go out to my Twitter account, and my Twitter account automatically updates my Facebook account,
Right.
and my Facebook updates my LinkedIn account. So all my social media gets updated from my blog. And because my blog's being updated and it's optimized, it will rank well on search engines for whatever topic I'm talking about. So I basically access all those sources. And then usually what I'll do is I'll blog about a topic that I'm going to discuss on my radio show. So I pitch my radio show through my blog as well. So it's all coming together. Martha Stewart would be really happy in all this because it's sort of the whole concept of synergy, right? So with branding online, it's all about synergy. So that's my philosophy towards branding online.
Now that's very complete and detailed. I like that. And for those watching, just so you know, this is a gentleman who doesn't just talk the talk, but he walks the walk. Because on one of our previous shows, this is his third show, by the way, with us, he talked about LinkedIn and told us all about the wonders of that social media outlet. That's just one of the big three that he was talking about earlier. He's, as you can tell, very avid on Twitter and Facebook as well through his blog, which is a fantastic way to set things up. Also, he mentioned search engine marketing. Well, as you can see through the subtitle, when he's on the show by himself, like right now, he's a marketer and SEO guru. That stands for search engine optimization. That's how I believe you got your big start, was by becoming very proficient in SEO. That was the way to get your name out there on the internet before social media came on board. So you mastered that craft, and it's a good craft to have mastered because it's still here. It's not going anywhere. And he talked about webinars and blogs. You just said you blog talk radio. You have your own show. So this is a gentleman that does what he says, what he recommends for others to do. And, that's the type of people Kathy and I look for time and time again. And that's one of the reasons Alan is back with us for a record third time. So we really appreciate having you on. Wanted to mention real quick, if you'd like to connect with Alan later after the show, click on his nose, either right above us or down below. There's a little banner as well. That will take you to his personal website. And is there a place to opt in there, Alan, so they can get connected with you?
I actually put my phone number on every page, and I put my email address on every page. So I'm very accessible.
Fantastic.
Great.
So that's
I was
almost...
going to say something. When he was talking, it just triggered, and I totally forgot how we met him was through social media. He connected with us through Twitter.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago. So anyway, I just thought I would throw that in. That's exactly how we connected.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, Kathy, and like I said in the opening of the show, you have become extremely well connected, and that's primarily due to social media. All of your activity on social media. You have been very consistent. You're always on Facebook, always shouting out, putting out good little quotes and things and talking about valuable things, and you're just making connections that are through the roof. And social media, it's huge. We all know that. It may not be here forever, but I can't see it going away anytime soon. But so moving right along, I've always wondered this. We're out there, a lot of us are out there in many avenues, such as you, Alan, Kathy, and myself on all the social media outlets and such, but how can people actually monitor your online reputation? Is there a way to do that?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's several tools. One tool that you both probably are familiar with is Monitor. It's Monitor with extra T in the Monitor .com, and basically it allows you to you can put in searches for keywords. It could be your name, for example. And you can basically watch conversations happening about your name or brand. It's a very useful tool. It's one that I use a lot. I use it for a different reason. I use it to find clients, but it's also good to find out how many people are talking about you. So that's one I recommend.
Is that
another one that I? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Is that spelled with TTOR at the end or ER?
Yeah, it's MONITTER.
ER.
I think. Monitor. I think it's Monitor or Monitor. That's the problem. You get lazy when you just have it automatically bookmarked. You forget what your own bookmarks are. Okay. But I think it's with a OR or ER.
Yeah.
Probably.
Both.
Okay. I just put it up on the screen. That's wondering how to spell it. people can figure that out.
It's really good. It's a very useful site. TweetDeck does the same kind of stuff too, I think. But another site that's really useful is Google Alerts. For anyone that's not familiar with it, basically what it does is it allows you to create an alert whenever somebody anywhere posts anything. It could be in a blog, it could be in a news feed, it could be anywhere on the internet. When they post something about whatever keyword you type in, you will get an email alert about that. I actually use this service for a very different reason, but it's very useful for monitoring. So basically, you can find out if somebody's talking about you, and if they're talking bad about you, you can quickly find out about it. But I use it for a very different reason. I use it to actually create content about me or about my clients. So I actually use those feeds to, to basically create content for my social media. And it's all about me, so it's all good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it couldn't be anything else, could it, if it's all about you, Alan?
Exactly.
Well, you know what? That's great information, but good tips as well. To have, you said that Brian and I probably know about the Monitor site. I don't know about Brian, but I've never heard of that before. So that's that's some good information.
It's actually really useful. You can also, it has in it capability to set a location. So you can actually monitor not just conversations, but conversations near you.
Wow.
So if somebody's talking bad and they're walking right past your store, you can open the door and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" So you can monitor like by location. It's kind of cool. So very useful one to know about. Another one is, I was just going to say another one to know about is Yahoo Pipes. And this is for somebody that's very savvy about monitoring. Basically, it's similar to Google Alerts, but what you can do is you can create very, very specific feeds. So it's it's a little bit more complicated than Google Alerts, but it allows you a lot more flexibility. It's for somebody who's really trying to get a niche term and a niche understanding of how people are talking about them. It's very useful though.
Do you have the URL for that one?
Just do a search on Yahoo for Yahoo Pipes. It's Pipes.
Okay.
And the way it works is it's a visual interface, so you can actually visually see how the news feed is created.
Ooh.
So it's kind of cool. I talk about it a lot in my book because I do find it is pretty useful.
Now
it's more for the bigger companies that I use it though.
We've mentioned a few times about your book. Where can folks pick this book up, and which one are you talking about?
The book is called How to Manage Your Reputation Online, and it's available through Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So you can. It's an ebook. I offer it for $10, which is I feel like is a fair price. It's actually $9.99, so it's even cheaper than $10.
That's a bargain at any price.
Yeah. So you can download it. It's basically it's available for all the different platforms. So it is a good book. It's very short. It's about 54 pages, but it's very very content rich. Yeah.
Yes.
For that, I probably talk about 70 different tools in 54 pages. So it's a lot of information. And if you become a master of it, you can probably make a few $100,000 a year, because this is the biggest issue right now on the web, reputation management.
Wow.
I was actually at a conference recently where, remember how you actually, just a little bit of a segue, but remember how you mentioned that I did the show with you guys on LinkedIn?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell you, but after that, I got one day $2 million worth of leads from my business.
Wow.
Yeah, one company was KPMG. They wanted to hire me to manage all of their social media. and they invited me to a conference on reputation management. So I thought it was so funny because I had just written this book about reputation management, and then I'm getting invited to a conference about it. So it was kind of funny. But it was funny because there was all these big businesses there, and they were all panicking because they saw how dangerous the web has become for them. And they were looking into monitoring, and they actually hire companies to just do that one aspect of their business, just to monitor how their reputations are being managed online.
Interesting.
It's a huge industry, and there's nobody in it right now. It's a huge industry, and at the same time, there's not many players in the industry. So if you read this book and become a master of it, you can actually get a job doing it because it is hot. It's a hot market right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, for $9.99, it is way more well than worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Way more.
So did you do any homework before you came on the show and see how good or bad our reputation was, Alan?
Sorry, no. No, I didn't. I should, actually, yeah. Actually, there's a really easy tool, another tool that you might have heard of that's really good for checking or monitoring your reputation. And it's a small search engine. It's called Google. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
That.
Yeah, that one. It's a small one, you know. That tool, Google, is actually the best way to monitor your reputation. Just typing in, the expression has actually become in the dictionary. To Google somebody means to check them out, to actually check out their reputation. You hear so often nowadays where people, before they date somebody, they Google them. Well, what is that? That's reputation management. That's, you know, they're basically checking if there's any negative reviews about that person. So Googling yourself, where you check out your name on Google, is very important because you can quickly see everything that's been said about you, everywhere where your name has been placed. And you'll be surprised because a lot of the time, you don't even know that this is happening. Yeah. You know, you're putting yourself out there, but you don't realize that people take that and they put it somewhere else. For example, I had done one brief interview on a TV show, and I actually found that somebody had written a review of that TV show. So it was really strange to all of a sudden see this thing that I'd never seen or heard of before. And, you know, it was part of my reputation. Fortunately, it was positive. But the point is, you don't even know how people are using your reputation online. So it's a good thing to do. Every so often, just do a Google search about your name.
So that's almost like checking your credit. You know, everybody should check their credit from time to time as well. It's all about protecting ourselves, I think.
Exactly, yeah. Actually, one of the things that I do for clients is I actually do the negative but positive. And what I do is this. A lot of people, when they do a search on Google about you, the first thing they search for is, are they legitimate? Are they a good person to work with? So what I do with my clients is I actually purposely write a negative article. Now, it sounds kind of like a weird thing to do, but what I'll do is, for example, if there's a client and they, you know, somebody searches for, are they legitimate or are they a spammer? Are they a good person to work with? Is it a scam? Stuff like that. What I'll do is I'll write the article saying those words, so that that page will rank well in the search engines. And then in the article, I basically say that this person is not any of those things. They're a legitimate person, that they are one to work with, that they are a good company, that they are the best in their best of the best. So what I do is I use a negative article or something that sounds negative, but then make it into a positive. So it's a way of controlling the reputation so that what you can do is just bury anything that is potentially negative. So you optimize an article about yourself that sounds negative, but is actually very, very positive. It's a trick that SEO guys will do.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So what about reputation sabotage? Is there such a thing? I mean, is that a serious problem too?
It's becoming more and more a serious thing. The one problem with my field is there's a lot of people that claim to be search engine optimizers. And what's happening now is companies will, from India or so forth, they'll have call centers devoted to just calling and saying, oh, your site is not ranked in the search engines, please work with us. And people are getting used to that message and they're saying, oh, I'm not interested. But now they've changed their approach. And now what they're doing is they will write a negative review about you on a major site like Yelp or Facebook, anywhere where they can control it. And what they'll do is they'll say, hey, look, this negative review is about you. We can get rid of it. And they're basically, they're sabotaging people on purpose to get them as clients.
Wow.
That's terrible.
And the funny thing is, you'd think, oh, this is a rare case. No, it's not going to happen to my company. I've seen it happen to small local companies in the Toronto market. So if it happens here, it can happen anywhere in the world. Wow. And it's so easy to do. How easy is it to write a negative review about somebody? It takes like 1 minute.
Right.
All you do is you say, this person is a terrible person. I almost died because I used their service. And then give that negative star or whatever, or 0 stars. And all of a sudden, it doesn't matter how many positive things they have, all of a sudden, their reputation is brought down to that lowest common denominator. And it's brutal. And what can happen is, because they will target big sites like Yelp, Yelp is a very powerful website. One negative review on it means that Google will actually rank your name with that negative review. So people searching for your name will see that negative review probably at the top of the list. So it's instant sabotage. You're instantly destroyed on the web.
So you said
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You said Yelp, is that help with a Y?
That's help with a Y. Okay. That's if you're not familiar with that site, it's a big player. It's the #1 review site on the web. Google tried to buy it for $500 million. So wow. It's a reasonably big site.
What I was going to ask you is this. Would not enough positive reviews on Yelp keep a negative buried, or is the negative so positive, if you will, that it's going to shove anything else back down?
Well, one of the things that you do when you're managing reputations is to bury a negative review. That is one of the approaches. So what you do is you just create so much positive that negative review gets pushed to a secondary page or a third level page. The best example of this is bad movies. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Skyline. Do you know that movie?
I don't.
I'm not familiar with it.
See, you're probably not familiar with it because it didn't do well. But if you go to Yahoo Movies and do a search for that movie and get reviews of it, you'll find that it has like amazing reviews. It's like 10 out of 10 kind of review. And what it was is reputation managers were basically burying all the truth. They just created thousands and thousands of posts saying how great this movie was. It was a terrible movie, but they basically spun it so that they could bury any negative review. And that's what you do. And Hollywood has really embraced this whole idea of burying negative reviews. So actually it's becoming more and more difficult to find real reviews about something because, you know, they have so many people that do it as a full-time thing.
It's almost like reverse sabotage, right?
Yeah, that's reverse sabotage. But that's one of the things that has happened because it's too easy to sabotage somebody. And people do read those reviews. They say that a review by somebody is more valuable, even though you don't know that person, than anything else. It's 10 times more valuable than any other kind of recommendation to that site. If it's on television or if it's on the radio or if it's in the newspaper, that is nothing compared to just one positive review. So a negative review is the reverse of that. So it's very easy to sabotage.
That could kill a business. I mean, that could kill a restaurant.
Quickly.
A lot of businesses, but I came to my mind, a restaurant. Can you imagine somebody just gets ticked off for whatever reason? Oh my gosh. That's scary.
Okay, so
it actually affects all businesses, I would say, equally.
Yeah. A restaurant for some reason came to my head, but everything.
Let's say, God forbid, one of us gets attacked in such a way, some kind of sabotage, or just someone's not happy with us, but they are so unhappy that they went out and collected an army of people to start, basically flaming us all over the internet. What happens in that case? Is it better to go seek a professional that works in the field of reputation management to handle that issue, or is it something that realistically can be handled on our own? What would you recommend in that case, Alan?
That's a good one.
You actually have to do both. You should always address a negative thing because it could be real. It might not be always the case of sabotage. So it's better not to hide. If you can, address the concerns of that person. Domino's actually did a very good thing about this. Domino's Pizza. Their brand was getting associated with cardboard.
Yeah.
Okay. So they actually created a viral campaign saying how they take this very at heart. They really, they got really upset about it, and they made, they interviewed employees and said how much, blood, sweat, and tears they put into this cardboard. They really made it personal, and it did well for them. It really changed that, perception of their pizza. So that's the first step, is always, try to do it on your own in terms of addressing it head on. But if that doesn't work, if it's somebody that's truly there to sabotage you, you do have to get a professional. And it's not just one person. Like my thing is, when I do it for clients, it's not me I can't do the work all by myself. I actually have to get a team of people to do it.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is a lot of reputations are destroyed by the news. Like, remember, as I spoke before about that law firm where that one bad article, what happens is one bad article gets put into routers and then it gets spread right across all the major newspapers. Well, that's thousands of bad reviews about you. And to bury that, what you do is you build thousands of good reviews to bury that kind of negative review.
And that's
consuming.
Yeah, and that would be where it becomes difficult to do on one's own, where you need to hire at least one person who has the connections for other people to inexpensively put out positive articles about people. So, like you said, both. And I appreciate the fact that you said both. I honestly, most people would say, well, you need to hire somebody like me. And you didn't do that. First thing you came out of the gate was said, take care of it yourself as much as you can to the point that you can't anymore, without saying that, well, hire a professional later, which is what you really are saying once it gets to that point, if it gets to that point. So you're such a credible guy, and that's why Kathy and I like you so much, Alan, and we appreciate that.
Well, I'm also very frugal, so I always try to save my money, and I always try to save my clients' money. So
Nice.
if they can do it on their own, all power to them.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Well, when we were putting together questions and thinking about how we were going to address this topic with you, the next one is, I almost feel like, geez, I hate to even ask it, but, and the question is there a real need to protecting and defending our reputation? I'm just, in hearing just what we've been talking about over the past 45 minutes or so, absolutely, but I would like you to address that in the manner that you were going to take it. Just totally blows me away.
Yeah, what we've been talking about, you can see how easy it is to destroy somebody's reputation. At that KPMG meeting that I went to, there was a lot of big companies there who saw it as such an important thing because what was happening was people were talking about their stocks. And you can actually cause a stock to drop by even a few percentage points. It can destroy a company. And that's what was happening. People were manipulating the stock market by creating negative content about those companies. So that's on a big scale, but on a small scale, just because there's so many marketers out there that are not legitimate, that want your business, they're out there potentially destroying you just to get your business. And there's another group of people that are out there to kind of destroy you is your competitors. I had one client where they were getting destroyed because their competitor was going around saying everything bad they could about them. And in as many places as possible in order to destroy their reputation, because they were the number one player and the competitor was the number two. So how do you become number one? You destroy the previous number one. So it's pretty scary, especially with social media. It's so easy to do. You never know what kind of tweet or status update on Twitter, on Facebook might become viral. And, an offhand comment can just bring down a company. The big thing that a lot of these companies are worried about is not even just competitors or people trying to sabotage them, but they're worried about their employees. There was actually a funny case where one company was very active in human rights and so forth, and one of their members was somebody from the KKK, one of their employees. So it didn't go over too well that they were posting all this stuff on their Facebook page, talking about how great the KKK was, and at the same time wearing company uniform. It just doesn't go over very well. So monitoring this kind of stuff and defending against it and managing it is important. It's amazing. You not only have to watch out for other people, but you have to watch out for internal people. Your employees can bring you down or can boost you up if you use them correctly. So a lot of companies now are actually coming up with policies of how people are allowed to conduct outside of the workplace. So it's pretty amazing stuff.
Privacy issues, that's a whole show in itself. But when a company can start dictating what an employee can do when they're off site, that just gets really interesting for me, I think.
Yeah, it's a whole new realm. It's a whole new world, and it's up to the employee. It's their choice. They can still keep their privacy by saying, okay, I choose not to work here anymore, and take a stand that way. But I can understand it from, I've worked in fields where I have access to information that most of the planet does not have, and I can see cases where you would want to make sure individuals are very careful about what they say on that end. Now, to tell people where they can't go because for other reasons, you have to be, I think as a company, they have to be very careful about what kind of policies they put forth. without, they may risk losing their workforce as a result of too stringent a policy. For what can Alan Pollitt say when he's home after work? No way. That's you can't restrict our freedom of speech.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of companies are really afraid, so they're getting very monitoring of their own employees. It's kind of scary. It's very Big Brother-ish.
It is.
But what do you do if you're a company? What do you do in that situation? Your employees, even though it's their private time, it reflects on you at all times.
Sure.
So it's kind of one of those ones where it's good and bad. That's one of the cans of worms that has been opened up by this whole concept of
it's an interesting topic. It's just.
Well, you can say the same thing like before social media. Don't wear a company shirt, go out on the street corner and throw rocks at passing cars. I mean, it's similar to that. Or let's say water balloons. That's a little less. A
little less violent.
But I mean, I can understand it to a degree. That's all I'm saying. It's just they need to take very good care in to what extent they go into muffling their employee base.
And I think it has to do with the type of business too, maybe, to some degree.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And on the flip side, if you're a rock band, they could have you, I want you to go out and do something crazy today.
Just
do something.
Throw a TV out of the window.
There you go.
All right. So you've got us both very a little bit anxious here. We've got a little bit of anxiety factor going because this is a great topic and it's one that's very valuable for all to be aware of. But what Kathy and I really want to know is what kind of steps can people like us and our viewers take to prepare us against any kind of damage from or to our reputation.
Well, in my book, I outline a few steps that you can do. First thing you do is you basically use your website as a method to create pages that brand your name. So that what you can do is you always have every page of your website targeting your own name as a keyword. So what happens is it acts as a method to bury anything from somebody else's website that potentially is using that keyword, which is your name. Another thing, because Google only shows a few results from your website, that won't do it by itself. So what I do, this is one of my strategies that I do for clients, is I actually create hundreds of social profiles. Because like a Twitter profile, if you do a search for my name or a search for your own names, probably one of the links will be your LinkedIn profile, your Twitter profile, your Facebook profile, because those are very powerful sites and they're also personal to you. So you can use those sites to also to hide stuff. By having hundreds of these profiles, you can basically push anything that's negative about you to fourth or fifth page.
Now, when
sorry.
you say hundreds of these, are you talking about like multiple on Twitter, multiple on Facebook, or are you talking about hundreds as in there are hundreds of different social media sites you could do this on?
Yeah, there's hundreds of social media sites you can do this on, and they're all very powerful. Like I can give you like a list, like Ning, Plaxo, Mems, MySpace, whatever you can think of. There's hundreds of very powerful social media sites where you can create profiles.
Okay.
So it's all a matter of creating these profiles. If you build your reputation the way I recommend building your reputation, you should have these 100 profiles, and they're all getting fed information, so you should have a lot of content on those so that they should be strong backups to your brand.
Got it.
When you do a search on me, my name, I think the top 200 results I control. They're all positive about me. It's just one of those methods that I do everything I tell people to do. So, the best defense is good offense, and this is a good way to get that offense and also build your brand at the same time.
Now, can't doing this on hundreds of profiles, that's got to be time consuming, is it not?
Again, this is where you get a little bit of help from somebody like me and the team of people I use.
Got it. And so just give us a ballpark. Roughly how long would that task by itself take with you and your team on average?
Less than a couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah. I have about 30 people that work for me.
Wow.
So just to do link building and this kind of stuff.
So. Well, something that just came to my mind. We're talking about our names specifically. But what if, like in our case, it's our name and we also have a company name? Do you attack, or maybe attack's not the good word, but do you handle a company name in the same realm that you would the owners of a company? So you would put their names out there in the same light and the same quantity as you would the actual name of the company? Does that make sense to you? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I can actually give you a cool example about that. Way back when, I had a friend who did affiliate marketing. And what he did was he did affiliate marketing for Ford. So what he wanted to do was he wanted to rank for Ford truck, Ford car, Ford vehicle, Ford whatever. And I said, hey, I can do that easily. So I helped him. And basically every time you typed in Ford and any other term, his site came up.
Nice.
So what happened was, because Ford never spent any time branding their own name with their own website, what happened was they basically were paying this other guy to get the traffic that should have been coming to them in the first place. So I definitely use the same approaches with big companies or any company, that I try to get the branding of their name so that it dominates all the rankings. So it's
to do both.
Yeah, it's definitely something you do. What you really want to do actually is brand your company, brand your names of all your major top staff, like your president or the top players in your company. And what you want to do is also brand your major products. So you defend every single one of your major products. Because if you don't do that, it's easy to destroy any individual product. And it could cost you, in a case of a big company, it could cost you millions of dollars to defend that brand. So.
Great question, Kathy. You read my mind. I was thinking that exact same thing.
Were you?
Yeah. Like, is there a way to integrate a company into this? And I like the answer. Real quick. I know we're at the end of the time here, but is this something do you cater to just large businesses, Alan, or do you go after small businesses as well? Do you accept them as clients?
Actually, right now I'm working with about 100 companies. Okay. Only about 10 of them are big. The rest of them are mom and pops.
Okay.
And this issue it was actually the mom and pops that first introduced me to it. I got introduced to it by a little bed and breakfast. Basically, that was 10 years ago that their reputation was destroyed by one bad guest.
Wow.
It was a cold winter night and a pipe burst.
Oh.
It wasn't something that they could have controlled.
Right.
But because that pipe burst, the person was like, "Oh, this is a terrible hotel. Never stay there," and they got destroyed. They almost went out of business, and it was just a small, a young couple. It was their little business, and it got almost destroyed by this one negative review.
Very sad.
Well, I got to tell you, it's like Brian said, we're running short on time. This has just been absolutely phenomenal. And I am so thankful because we're talking about reputation. We're talking about social media and all of the things that it encompasses. I am so thankful, I know Brian is too, that we were connected through one of the major social media sites out there, and that was Twitter. For that, we're forever grateful. You have brought such phenomenal content to all three shows now, Alan. We can't wait to have you on again and see what you're going to bring to us and to our viewers next time. Thank you so much for connecting with us again and sharing your valuable information. And I'm going to turn it back over to Brian, and until next time, Alan, take good care.
Thanks again for having me.
Oh, and yeah, I can't say any more than Kathy said. I echo everything she just said. And Alan, as always, you just raise the bar when it comes to integrity and value, on both cases, because you're not just a guy who talks about things. You talk about what you have done, and not just what you have done, but what you have done successfully, and that means so much more to anyone listening to this. So I want to tell you, as well as what Kathy said, that we deeply, deeply appreciate you coming on our show once again. I'm sure we're going to have you again, my friend, because you keep coming up with these little gems, and this one literally surprised me, this in a very good way. Very excellent topic. Be sure to go to his website and get connected with Alan. He's got his phone number and email address there. Go to Amazon.com. Just search on his name, Alan Pollitt. It's a lot shorter than the title of the book. And pick up a copy of his book for $9.99, the ebook. With that, though, it is past our bewitching hour, and it is time for us to sign off. So we will see you again in the coming weeks. We have some more shows lined up that are going to knock your socks off. Kathy, it's been an absolute pleasure once again. And Alan, as always, my friend, thank you once again. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Good night now.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.